Hey everyone, it is Sean here at the Brass Cellar, and it's time for another horn introduction. So, what I've got with me today is what I think is a very versatile little cornet. It is from the Martin range, and it's just a great buy and a great pickup if you're looking for something that will cover you across multiple genres. So I'm going to play a couple of different samples, and then we're going to have a chat about this cornet and why I think it's as good as it is. Now, for an FYI, I'm using the original mouthpiece with this instrument, which is a Martin No. 7 cornet mouthpiece. You wanted that faster? Not quite as technically accurate. Okay, and then let's try a little miles just to change up. Anyway, you get the idea. Like, it's a pretty versatile little instrument. So what is it? It is a Martin Imperial Cornet. So, talking about the history of this instrument, it was produced sometime in the mid to late 1940s, all the way through until the 70s. And now, there are several different examples of this instrument again, and the way it changed a little bit throughout the period. So the examples that I recommend personally that you look for are the ones, if you look on the bell, it says right here, the Martin in a script, in the old style script, and then in italics it says the Imperial in italics across the bell here, and then Elka, Indiana, etc. So those are the ones to go for. The other thing that gives it away is take a look at the finger buttons. These finger buttons are very similar to the Martin Committee buttons. Again, these are the telltale giveaways of you've got the right model. The later models have a different, slightly different bell. I think the quality is not as great as the production from the 1950s. I think for these, the 1950s was where it's at for this instrument. So look for that example first. Prices you expect to pay for these kind of instruments, I've seen them very, very cheap, usually ones that are busted up. An example like this, I would expect to pay around the $350, maybe $450 retail mark. right up to maybe $650 for a really nice example with all its original pieces, etc. What else can I tell you about this? Oh, yes, so the valve blocks on these is a little bit longer than your typical like committee Indiana of the period. They're a little bit higher, they're about an inch higher. Now the reason for that, I believe, is so that you can get your hand in there much more comfortably. The other ones are a little bit smaller and you're a little bit more cramped in here. These were designed kind of like for the marching bands and school bands of that time, and they've left a lot of space in between here, which makes for a very nice and comfortable holding instrument. You can like just rest it on the palm of your hand all day long, or this way, or however you hold your instrument. So yeah, it's a little bit longer. Now if you take these off, if I take a piston out here, what you'll see inside is an extension piece at the top. The bit down the bottom is completely interchangeable, and I'm sure it was made for manufacturing purposes, is interchangeable between the three models of that time, which is the Indiana, the Committee, and the Indiana, then this model, the Imperial, and then the Committee. The only difference is you screw the top off and you screw your normal piston rod in, and boom, you're away. Not many people know that, so there's a little tidbit for you. Bore sizes, these were made in mediums, and that's the only size that I'm aware of that these were made in. I haven't seen any small bores or large bores. The large bores later became the Martin Magnas of their time, etc. They do borrow parts from different eras. The finger hook was basically the Martin Handcraft Imperial finger hook of the 30s. This design was basically borrowed from the handcraft committees of the late 1930s, 40s. It's not compatible with the trumpets, I don't even think it. The trim and the way it's laid out is basically borrowed from the earlier handcraft Imperials as well. Now in terms of, is this the same as a committee bell? A lot of people say, oh, this is the same, but it's not bent the same at all. And actually, allow me to demonstrate. I have a body of a Martin Imperial, exactly the same era as that one. If I compare the two together, this is about an inch or half an inch too low. So it's bent in a different place. And in fact, I have a Imperial bell right here. We can compare the two when we hold them up here. You can see that it's a much wider wrap on the left-hand side one than the right-hand side. The flare is pretty similar. It's a two-piece bell. It has the same script. There is a possibility that these were recycled from old ones of these, but they existed at the same time, so maybe it's just a manufacturing thing that these were bent in a different spot. A little bit tricky and requires specialists to unbend it and rebend it in the right way, if that's what you were thinking. And then again, the lead pipe from a committee is different to a Martin Imperial, and it's a little bit smaller too. So these are kind of like a little bit unique in their design. Oh, the other thing on this one is when you get one of these valve blocks, you'll notice that this third port actually comes upwards. On the earlier models, it would come out this way, and they would have an extra extension piece, which would pop out this way and kind of bump this way a little bit. So that was something unique to this as well, which is kind of frustrating because you can't use those valves for anything else other than the cornets. Came with a Martin 7 mouthpiece. The cases that these guys came with look something like this, which is very similar to the committee ones of their time. Just allow that to focus a little better. Typically in brown with some kind of faux alligator stitching off the side. They have the Martin badge on them. And they are typically in a coral color, maybe a green or a blue. But they typically look like this. And you've got space, sorry I've got some bubble in here, but you've got space for your mutes and your music in here. And then there's a little tray underneath for any accessories like your marching band lyre or your mouthpiece, etc. So I think these are very versatile instruments. They're a fantastic buy. They're great for a beginner, and they're also great, like a professional could use this no problem. And you can use them in jazz, Dixie, combo, solo. I've used it a little bit. I play in a lower tier brass band. I've tried this out. Blends fine. Not that I would recommend it, because I would recommend triggers. But you can get away with it. Yeah, fantastic. If you're looking for, little Johnny needs a instrument for his first instrument, and you've got a choice between, a classic that's tried and tested and a brand new instrument that's manufactured, and it's the $500 price point is your ceiling. Go for one of these. Don't go for the $500 throwaway version, unless you're getting a good used mainstream brand. But these are fantastic instruments. I stand by my recommendation on these. They do benefit a little bit from a little tweak in this brace. If you do get one and you want to get a little bit more out of it, these braces here, have your tech unsolder these and resolder them without the stress there. It does open them up a little bit, and certainly makes a nice playing difference. Other than that, the valves are rock solid. As I say, they're the same as the Indiana and committee valves of the time, and they will last you a lifetime if you look after them. Just general cleaning, wash them down with some soapy water. Every time you do maintenance on your horn. The only things with these, with Martins in general from this era, is you have to watch out for red rot, and that can be avoided by again, general maintenance, and not having some soft drink and doing a couple of hours practice with acidic saliva going through into your horn is not a good option. So there you have it, a horn introduction to the Martin Imperial in the 1950s. I think it's fantastic buy. If you got the opportunity to try one, please try one. If you're looking to buy one, I've got a couple available very soon. Excellent instruments. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Reach out to me on Facebook. The website has will have a lot of information on the Martin database about these instruments, the accessories, the bells, and mouthpieces, as well as photographs of the cases, etc. So that's coming up soon. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you think there's a better option in the sub 500 range on a cornet? There's a lot of people that might come back and say, oh, well, the LA Ambassador cornet's a fantastic option. There's con cornets in that range. But are they really suitable for a variety of different genres like this one is? So let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing some questions, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks very much.